The line at the bank in Buckhead moved slower than usual that morning, but the clerk called me forward sooner than expected. Her polite smile faded as she glanced at her screen. Something in her expression told me the visit wouldn't end the way I'd planned. "Mr. Hale, your holiday savings account shows a zero balance." She printed the statement before I could respond. The paper slid across the counter, and the number hit harder than any punch I'd taken in my life. Another line sat beneath it, authorized relative withdrawal. A long breath steadied my voice. Which relative? She clicked through a few windows, then lifted a form from a folder. It was withdrawn under authorization by a family member. The name listed is Lily Hale. Hearing my daughter's name there felt like the floor shifted. I never signed any authorization slipped out before I even thought about lowering my tone. A couple of customers turned their heads, but no one said anything. Holiday crowds rarely look up unless they sense trouble. The clerk apologized while reaching for another document. "Our system shows updated paperwork from 3 weeks ago." Updated. Not submitted. Updated. A word that suggested someone had replaced something that used to be mine. "Let me see the signature." She handed over a copy. It resembled my hand, but the strokes were too stiff, as if someone traced the memory of my writing instead of the real thing. A man knows his own name. He knows when it's been taken from him. The clerk's voice softened. "Do you want to open an investigation?" "Not yet. Not before knowing where the money went." A transaction at the bottom of the statement gave the first lead, Midtown Grand Suites. People behind me shifted, annoyed by the delay. The clerk offered another thin apology, but I didn't hold her responsible. She only delivered the facts. The wound didn't come from her hands. Every step down the hallway stirred memories I'd tried to leave buried. The credit card bills she promised she'd take care of as soon as she could. The remark she repeated whenever I asked her to slow down her spending. "You never gave me much, so don't act like I owe you." Reaching the door, I straightened. 3 sharp knocks. A shuffle. Then the handle turned. Lily appeared with a drink in her hand, her hair styled, as if she were celebrating something that belonged to her. "Dad." Her voice went thin. Behind her, laughter drifted from the seating area. One of her friends leaned forward and whispered, "Is that your dad?" The mood changed instantly. Lily stepped partly into the hall, pulling the door closer to her hip. "What are you doing here?" she asked. The statement left my mouth before I softened it. "Why did you take my holiday savings and spend it on this?" She rolled her eyes like I'd interrupted a minor inconvenience. "Dad, you weren't using that money. And eventually it'll be mine anyway. No apology. No hesitation. Just that same casual entitlement I'd mistaken for immaturity years ago." One of her friends lifted a hand. "This isn't that serious, sir. She was just..." My stare stayed on Lily. "Give me your phone." Her face hardened. "You're blowing everything out of proportion. I'm not handing you my phone." Several voices behind her fell silent. She slipped back into the suite and closed the door without another word. That was the end of the conversation, according to her. The elevator ride back down felt longer than the walk up. Reaching the lobby again, I moved toward a seating area and dialed the bank's customer service line. The representative listened as I laid out the forged authorization and the hotel charges. "This qualifies as potential elder financial misuse," she said. "Given the location and date, you should notify the tourism police unit for immediate assistance." Another blow, elder. The label hit differently when someone used it to explain a crime committed against you. Stepping out of the hotel, I requested a taxi to the airport terminal where the tourism desk operated. A breeze cut through the holiday decorations strung across the street. Cars rolled past, each carrying people headed toward celebrations that looked nothing like mine. While waiting for the taxi, a familiar voice called my name. "Thomas, what are you doing out here?" Marcia Green approached with a small shopping bag in one arm. She'd lived a few houses down from me for years and had a way of noticing trouble even when someone tried to hide it. "You look worn out," she said. "What happened?" The words came out low. "I just lost all my savings to someone I trust." Marcia's expression shifted instantly. "Oh, Thomas. I've been through that. My nephew drained my account once. Took months before I admitted it wasn't a mistake. People our age stay silent because we don't want to cause scenes, but silence is exactly what these kids rely on." Her tone wasn't lecturing, just plain truth from someone who'd lived it. "Don't wait," she added. "Not even a day. If you let this slide, they'll think you agreed to it." The taxi rolled to the curb. Papers in my hand felt heavier than they looked. Marcia touched my arm gently before I stepped toward the car. "If you need someone to talk to, I'm around," she said. The tourism police office at Hartsfield-Jackson sat behind a row of information counters. A sergeant motioned for me to come forward as soon as I stepped in. Statements, the forged authorization, and the hotel documents landed on his desk one by one. He adjusted his glasses and studied the pages with a patience that felt both reassuring and unnerving. After a few minutes, he tapped a signature with his pen. "This curve here. See how the line dips? That's not natural handwriting. It's copied. Looks like it came from an older document." He reached for another sheet. "Do you have any mortgage paperwork from 8 or 9 years ago? The pattern resembles that era's style." The remark struck harder than I expected. Someone would need access to my old files to pull that off. One memory surfaced: Lily going through my boxes when I moved last year. She said she needed tax forms. I didn't check what she took. The sergeant's tone shifted toward procedure. "You'll want to freeze every account with your name on it. Also file a detailed statement. We'll notify the hotel to hold any open charges. They're not to bill you further until we finish reviewing the reports." His straightforward approach provided a strange comfort. I followed instructions, filled out what he handed me, and signed where he pointed. A small nod ended the meeting. Walking back through the terminal, my phone rang. Lily's name flashed before the vibration finished. She didn't wait for a greeting. "Dad, the hotel shut down the billing. My key stopped working. My friends think I lied to them." "What did you do?" Her voice rattled, but not from remorse, more from inconvenience. "You used my money for weeks," I said slowly. "How long has this been going on?" Silence cut in, followed by a sharp click as she hung up. Barely minutes later, a bank alert arrived: attempted hotel charges, rejected due to the lock I'd placed on the account. Another attempt came seconds after that. Whoever tried didn't understand or didn't care that the card was no longer available. A long walk carried me out of the terminal and toward the rideshare pickup area. Cars honked. Families gathered luggage. Children argued about snacks. All of it passed by while my thoughts circled the same question. Had I escalated too fast? Maybe I should have paused, talked it through, avoided widening the rift. A man brushing past knocked my shoulder lightly, bringing me back to the crowd's movement. Midtown's streets felt heavier than the airport, especially during the holidays. People walked arm in arm or hauled gift bags to hotel entrances. Their ease contrasted sharply with the tension gripping my chest. Marcia's call vibrated through my pocket. "I'm glad you answered," she said. "Did you speak with them?" "Yeah." "Then you need to follow through. Report it to the senior support center, too. They track patterns the police sometimes miss. Trust me, what happened isn't your fault. Folks like us think staying calm protects the family, but it only makes things worse. Her steadiness helped more than she likely realized. Marcia understood the kind of guilt that creeps up when family crosses the line, and you're the one forced to name it. "I'll think about it" came out before I could soften the words. "That's fine," she replied. "Just don't blame yourself." These situations have a way of making good people feel like they caused them. Distance didn't matter. Her voice carried the weight of experience. She let the call end without pushing further. By the time I reached the Marta entrance, my phone buzzed again. A text from Lily covered the entire screen. "Dad, you're ruining my life. Nothing else. Just the familiar pivot, her trouble becoming my fault." The call came early the next morning while I stood near the Marta platform. A hotel manager introduced himself, flipping straight to the issue. "Mr. Hale, the guests in your suite placed several high-end service orders last night. The total bill now exceeds the balance that was previously available. Your card declined during the last attempt. We need confirmation on how to proceed." My hand tightened around the phone. "Transfer every charge to the person who signed the registration." That signature wasn't mine. A pause followed, then a measured reply. "Understood. We'll adjust the account and notify the guest." No apology, no judgment, just protocol. The call ended, and I continued toward the escalator without thinking much about where my feet carried me. Not even 20 minutes passed before the next ring. Lily's number appeared again, but this time she didn't wait for me to speak. "Dad, why did you have them close out my room? They locked me out. They told me to come downstairs and settle the bill. My friends left because they think I scammed them. Do you know how humiliating that is?" Her breath came in frantic rushes, but the words aimed only at the inconvenience she faced, not the act that caused it. "You need to handle the charges was all I offered. That's not fair. You're destroying my reputation. Nobody believes me now. Everyone thinks I'm some kind of thief because of you." Lily pulled from my chest slowly. "You forged my name." She didn't acknowledge it. "You don't understand what this does to me. I can't show my face anywhere. You always do this. You always make me look like the problem." Her voice cracked, then vanished. She hung up mid-breath. Another alert from the bank arrived seconds later. The hotel attempted a new charge. The locked account rejected it. A follow-up alert showed 2 more attempts in quick succession. Whoever stood at that desk kept trying until the system shut them out completely. Crossing the intersection toward Peachtree, a strange heaviness settled in my ribs. Any other father might have walked away from the whole thing to keep the peace. Part of me questioned whether I should have done the same. Let it slide, let her believe it didn't matter. Maybe that would have protected what little remained between us. Holiday crowds drifted past carrying gift bags and weekend plans. Laughter rose from a group heading toward a cafe. The contrast pricked something raw in me. Everyone around me moved through the day, as if the world made sense. My own daughter had turned my life into a tangle I couldn't easily undo. A vibration churned in my jacket again, this time a text from the tourism police. "Your case file has been converted to an official investigation regarding elder financial exploitation." The phrase sat heavy in my palm. It wasn't a family dispute anymore. It had become a crime with paperwork deadlines and officers assigned to it. Seeing Lily's name on the attached report drained whatever resolve remained. Even when she hurt me before she had never crossed into territory that could put her in front of a judge. A Marta train roared through the station below. The sound rattled the railing where my hand rested, and for a second, the weight of everything pushed harder than anything I'd dealt with in years. Later, home offered little comfort. The kitchen felt unfamiliar as I set my keys down. A cardboard box sat on the table, my old folder of mortgage records, tax forms, and warranty papers. The lid lay crooked one corner, folded proof it had been opened without care. Papers tilted at odd angles, some bent as if shoved back quickly. Lily had dug through this box once. She claimed she needed old statements for an apartment application. I remembered telling her to be careful with the documents. She laughed and said, "It's just paper, Dad." I brushed it off then. Now every skewed page felt like a warning I failed to read. A few dated envelopes stuck out at the edge, mortgage forms from 8 years back, bearing the same signature style the officer mentioned. Not coincidence, not guesswork. She had taken those samples, copied them, and used them to clean out what I'd saved. The refrigerator hummed. Somewhere outside, a neighbor's dog barked twice before settling down. Ordinary sounds continued their rhythm while my thoughts stalled. Lowering into the kitchen chair, I sifted through the mess only long enough to confirm what I already understood. This hadn't been a spur-of-the-moment mistake. It took foresight, planning, and a willingness to cross a line she knew I'd never cross against her. The Midtown Senior Support Center sat in a modest building near the public library. A receptionist led me into a small office where a caseworker sorted through my earlier paperwork. She scanned the updated forms and nodded. Your file was moved to our family-related fraud unit this morning. They'll coordinate with the tourism police. We just need a few more signatures from you. A pen slid across the desk. Before I reached for it, the entrance door slammed. A voice rose sharply through the lobby. Where is he? Lily stormed into the office, cheeks flushed, hair still styled from yesterday's outing, but tangled enough to show she hadn't slept well. A few people in the lobby shifted, unsure whether to leave or stay put. She pointed directly at me. Dad, what did you tell them? My friends won't talk to me. People are messaging me horrible things, and the hotel took my passport. My passport. Do you have any idea what you've done? The caseworker stood. Ma'am, you shouldn't be in this area. This is a confidential workspace. Lily ignored her. You're treating me like some criminal. How can you do this to your own daughter? Heat climbed up my throat, but I kept my tone level. You took money that wasn't yours. You forged my name. This is what happens when you do that. She stepped closer, as if the room belonged to her. Forged, I signed for you because you weren't around. You never are. I needed that trip to get a break from everything. You know how hard things have been for me. The caseworker put a hand between us. You need to wait outside so he can complete his forms. No, Lily snapped. He's ruining my entire future. He doesn't care what this does to me. He never cared. Not after the divorce, not after Mom left. I had to figure out everything on my own. Her words battered me harder than the accusations themselves. Scenes I'd buried came rushing forward, working late nights to pay for her braces, stretching paychecks so she could attend school trips, sitting alone at birthdays she promised she'd come to but didn't. She reached for the documents on the desk. Let me see whatever lies you've signed. The caseworker blocked her again. Ma'am, I'm asking you to leave this office now. Something in Lily's voice cracked. You're treating me like a stranger. I'm his daughter. He's supposed to protect me, not hand me over to the police. The hallway grew tense. Staff members gathered near the doorway. Even the security guard paused mid-stride. My hand found the stack of evidence photocopies, statements, the forged authorization. I placed it on the table between us and said, This is what you did, Lily. Not me. Her gaze flicked to the pages, but she didn't look long. She didn't want facts. She wanted an escape hatch. A uniformed officer stepped into the room. Mr. Hale, we reviewed your updated paperwork. At this stage, the case may lead to civil penalties or criminal charges depending on the final findings. Lily spun toward him. Criminal, no. I didn't steal anything. I only borrowed from him. It was temporary. I was going to fix it. The officer raised a hand. Your statement can be added formally. Right now you need to wait outside. She tried again. It was just a misunderstanding. He's exaggerating. You don't understand our relationship. The officer didn't budge. Ma'am. Outside. Her face twisted between fear and fury. You're doing this because you want everyone to think I'm irresponsible. You've always wanted that. You never forgave me for choosing Mom when she left you. You can't stand that I grew up without needing you. Each sentence hit like a hammer. My fingers trembled near the edge of the paperwork. For a brief moment, I feared the anger and exhaustion would shove me past a point I couldn't pull back from. The caseworker noticed. "Mr. Hale, you can step out for some air if you need." But stepping away felt like giving Lily more room to twist the narrative. I steadied my hands against the desk, found a shallow breath, and forced the tremor down. Saying anything more would only feed the fire. Silence was safer. The officer motioned again, firmer this time. Lily let out a frustrated cry. "You're ruining my life. I can't believe you're choosing them over your own daughter." She backed toward the hallway as the officer guided her out. People stared but didn't interfere. Her protests echoed through the lobby, mingling anger with panic. The caseworker gathered the remaining forms and nudged them gently toward me. "Sign where you left off. You're doing the right thing even if it feels unbearable." The pen felt heavier now. My signature scratched across the last line, shaky but present. When I stepped out of the office, Lily's calls rang out from the corridor. "Dad, don't leave. You can fix this. Why are you doing this to me?" Her voice carried a mix of accusation and fear that caught at something deep in my ribs. I kept moving one foot ahead of the other, the weight of everything lingering as the door swung shut behind me. A call from Midtown Grand Suites interrupted the late morning silence. The hotel manager, the same one who handled the billing mess earlier, spoke with a stiff kind of caution. "Mr. Hale, we located additional documents your daughter submitted when she checked in. You should see them. There's a signature mismatch, but she attached an old fax as verification." The word fax unsettled me. Hardly anyone used them anymore, except for banks and home loans. "I'll come by," I said. At the concierge desk, the manager handed over a thin folder. The first page showed a shaky imitation of my name, the one I'd already seen. The second page, that one froze me. A faded mortgage letter dated years back, photocopied, and folded along the same crease that existed when it lived in my bedroom file box. Even the slight tear on the corner remained. There was no question where she'd found it. She had dug through that box when I moved last year, pulling out papers she had no reason to touch. She told me she was looking for tax forms. I believed her then. Not now. Tracing the old crease with my thumb, a small surge of hope rose. This was evidence, real, undeniable proof she had lifted my signature from a dated financial record. No story she spun could explain away a document from 8 years ago, magically appearing in a luxury hotel's registration kit. The manager cleared his throat. "We'll provide whatever statements law enforcement needs. You're not responsible for these charges." A nod was all I managed before stepping away from the desk. Halfway through the lobby, my phone buzzed with a message from the investigating officer. "Your daughter filed a counter-complaint this morning. She claims you fabricated the fraud to control her finances. We will need additional time to sort out conflicting statements." The words hit low and hard. A counter-complaint meant the process dragged longer. It meant someone could look at my history, misinterpret something, and turn the accusation back on me. One wrong assumption, and the whole thing could flip. Being labeled as someone who financially abuses his own child was a stain you never washed off. The kind that seeped into everything: your job, your neighbors' opinions, the trust people gave you. Leaving the lobby, I felt the tension climb. The sidewalk pulsed with traffic engines accelerating as holiday travelers hurried between shops and restaurants. A MARTA bus hissed as it pulled away from the curb. Midtown rarely slowed, but the noise sharpened the pressure already coiling in my chest. Before I reached the corner, Lily called. This time she didn't scream. Her tone carried a calmness that felt colder than her earlier anger. "Dad, you're pushing this too far. No greeting, no hesitation. If you don't stop, I'll tell everyone what our family was really like." "Mom?" the divorce, the things you don't want out there. Reporters love stories like that. The casualness of her threat hollowed out something old and weary inside me. Lily, this isn't about the past, came out slowly. It's all connected, she said. You know how fast things spread online. Do you want people thinking you're some controlling parent? Because that's what I'll say if you keep going. A breeze cut across the street, carrying the noise of honking horns and hurried footsteps. None of it softened the sting of her words. You forged my name, I said. You drained my savings. You're acting like I murdered someone, she snapped back. You could fix this in a second, but you'd rather destroy me. Her calmness vanished. If you take one more step with this case, Dad, I swear I'll make sure people see the version of you I grew up with. The call ended before I could reply. I stood there at the crosswalk, folder in hand, feeling the ground slip just an inch beneath me. Not enough to fall, just enough to sense the danger gathering. The evidence the hotel gave me should have steadied everything. Instead, the counter-complaint and her threat twisted the situation into something tangled and ugly. Any misinterpretation from the police could flip the whole narrative. The law office sat on the 10th floor of an older building downtown. A receptionist directed me to a conference room where the investigator waited. He motioned toward the chair across from him. Mr. Hale, thank you for coming. We received additional materials from the hotel this morning. He opened a laptop, pressed a key, and turned the screen slightly. Their security team located lobby footage from the date your daughter checked in. A knot tightened beneath my ribs as he played the clip. Lily stood at the reception counter laughing with a friend. Then she leaned forward, presenting the copied facts I'd seen earlier. The clerk handed her a pen. She signed my name with a rushed flourish, glancing over her shoulder as if checking whether anyone watched closely. The investigator paused the video. That is her handwriting. The timestamp matches the transaction logs. He shifted a file toward me. This gives us clear evidence of intentional misrepresentation. Not a misunderstanding. Not an accidental use of your account. His voice remained steady, but every word carried weight. Here's what we're looking at. Forged authorization, fraudulent access to protected finances, exploitation under elder financial statutes, and unauthorized use of your credit accounts. The list stretched longer than I imagined. Each charge carved a deeper truth into the moment. I listened without speaking. There wasn't much left to say. A knock came at the door. Lily entered with a social services liaison trailing behind her. Her eyes darted between me and the investigator. "What is this?" she asked, breath already thinning. The investigator didn't soften his tone. "Please sit. We need your response to the evidence." She glanced at the screen just as he replayed the footage. The color drained from her cheeks. I was signing for him. He wasn't available, so I just helped." Her explanation faltered. Confidence slipped out of her voice like water through cupped hands. "You submitted an 8-year-old fax as current authorization," he said. "Can you explain how you obtained it?" She stayed silent long enough to give her answer away. "We found the original in a home file," I said quietly. "She took it when she helped me move last year." Her head snapped toward me. "Dad, stop acting like I stole some ancient treasure. You keep piles of useless papers. I thought you wouldn't care." He pushed another document forward. "This is the confirmation from the hotel, and these are the timestamps from the banking system." Lily's leg bounced under the table. "Look, I only wanted a short break. My friends planned the trip, and they pressured me. I've had a rough few years. I needed something for myself." The investigator asked, "Are you admitting that you used your father's information without permission?" "I'm saying it wasn't malicious," she insisted. "People do stuff like this all the time. Dad could have said yes if he wasn't so stubborn." He turned toward me. Given the evidence and the counter-complaint she filed, we need to know, do you want to withdraw your report or continue the case? Lily's face lifted, desperate for the answer she assumed would save her. My jaw tightened, but anger didn't lead the decision. Not revenge, either. Only the truth sitting between us, solid and immovable. I'm not withdrawing anything I said. She crossed a line. This isn't about punishment. It's about reality. A tremor edged into her voice. Dad, please, I'll fix it. I'll figure something out. Don't let them ruin my future. That trip was the only good thing I've had in a long time. Her plea landed somewhere painful, but not enough to outweigh everything she had done. He slid a printed still frame of the video toward me. The signature she wrote filled the image. I stared at it instead of her. It told the whole story without raising its voice. The investigator gathered the folders and spoke to her with procedural calm. This file is moving to the next stage. You'll receive notice of the upcoming hearing and potential restitution requirements. Until then, you cannot contact your father regarding this case. Lily shot up from her chair. You can't do this. He's twisting everything. You don't understand how our family works. But the liaison guided her toward the hallway. Ma'am, you need to step outside now. Her words echoed as she backed away. Dad, don't walk out on me. I swear I didn't mean for any of this to happen. The investigator closed the folder in front of me. We'll contact you with the next steps. Expect communication within a week. He stood offering a firm nod before leaving me alone in the conference room. The cabin in Blue Ridge sat a short walk from a narrow trailhead. The owner handed me the keys without much conversation, which suited me. Atlanta felt distant the moment the gravel crunched under my boots. For the first time in years, my shoulders eased without effort, as if I'd finally stepped out of a stance I didn't know I'd been holding. The cabin had a small porch and a single room with a stove, a bed, and a table. Nothing fancy, nothing heavy. I put my bag down and listened to the stillness settle around me, not demanding, not judging, just there. A kind of peace I'd forgotten existed. Later that afternoon, an email pinged through on my phone. The subject line read, Case Update. I opened it and scanned the summary. Lily was fined a substantial amount. Her fraudulent actions were logged in the state database. She had to repay the hotel in full and no longer held access to any financial account linked to my name. Formal restrictions were attached to her record. The investigator added one last line. Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Hale. Another message arrived that same evening, this time from Lily. A long paragraph filled the screen, pleas about chances, opportunities, her fear of losing work, her claim that she didn't mean harm, and her request for me to call the authorities and fix what you broke. I read it once, didn't save it, didn't answer. The next morning, the hiking shoes I'd stored in my closet for years sat by the cabin door. The laces had frayed from age, so I spent half an hour repairing them with a small kit I picked up at a general store. My hands worked slowly at first, remembering an old rhythm. Once the stitching settled evenly, something inside me did too. A local walking group gathered near the trailhead twice a week. I showed up without expecting much. Folks nodded politely and welcomed me in the way mountain communities often do, without fuss, without digging for stories. We followed the path through patches of tall trees and sloping ground, each person matching their own pace. Nobody asked for explanations or background. No one needed anything from me except to share the trail. That kind of company felt new. One afternoon, while I sat repairing the heel of the shoe I'd worn down, the phone rang. Marcia's name flashed across the screen. I heard you disappeared into the mountains, she said. Are you going to tell me how you're doing, or do I need to drive up there and drag it out of you? A small laugh surprised me. I'm all right, I told her, trying to live the years I have left without carrying every burden that comes my way. "That's good," she replied. "You deserve that much. And don't you forget, peace isn't selfish. People our age forget that." The call ended with her telling me to take care of myself for once, a soft reprimand I didn't mind hearing. Days slipped into a new pattern, walks in the morning, light chores, simple meals, evenings spent reading on the porch. Nothing about it felt like running away. It felt more like finally standing somewhere steady. One late afternoon, heading out to a community gathering, I locked the cabin door and tucked the key in my jacket pocket. The path sloped downward, leading toward a gravel road where others would meet before heading to town. A breeze moved past, bringing the sound of a distant car and the faint hum of people talking down the hill. For the first time in a long while, nothing tugged at me from behind. No unfinished fight, no looming argument, no voice telling me I owed more than I had. My steps found the downhill grade easily. The trail opened ahead, and I followed it without hesitation, letting the evening unfold as it wanted.